Hello everyone, Tim here from timscomputerfix.net again here. In this video we're going to be taking a look at an Asus U64E laptop. Now, these are some very thin, sleek looking laptops, but the hinge design on these laptops are very poor in my opinion. And basically what happens is the top lid starts getting coming loose from the hinges, and you end up separating the bezel from the back lid there, the top lid, and yeah, from that point, things just progressively get worse. It's quite common in some laptops. This particular model, you'll find online a fix for this in a forum, and it's a fix that I would definitely not recommend doing. This laptop apparently had been brought into another technician, and he used this technique, which is basically just carelessly drilling holes through their top lid and actually putting physical, like, sheet metal screws or bolts, nuts and bolts through it, which first of all looks awful. Secondly, that little trick does not hold very well after a while. And as you'll see in this video, that's not the proper way to fix these. If you have an issue with one of these model laptops, do not use that fix. I can tell you right now, it does not work. It's more trouble than it's worth, and it'll end up looking bad. And and if you're a business doing this, for God's sakes, don't go drilling holes into the top of your customers' laptops. It's just not a good fix at all. The best way to fix these is to source out parts. We found new top lids and bezels through eBay, actually. Now, they weren't too inexpensive. They cost a little bit, but I mean, this was a few months ago, so I'm sure as time goes by, the cost of those top lids will go down. We found them brand new from a seller on eBay. So hey, if you found this video here because you're looking to get your hinge problem fixed on one of these Asus laptops and you don't feel comfortable doing it, please feel free to contact me at timscomputerfix.net. You can ship me your laptop and I will be glad to help you out. We'll take care of it for you. So in this video, we're simply going to show you the proper way to repair a top lid problem or a hinge issue on one of these Asus U46E laptops. Yeah, here's a perfect example of trying to repair this Asus backlid hinge problem by driving sheet metal screws or bolts through this top lid. It may have worked initially, but over time it started to fail, and they even tried to use glue here to try to keep it together. And even with that, I mean, without a solid hinge to work with, just not going to get top quality. It looks bad. It really does look bad. Whatever technician did that should be ashamed. So we're going to show you the right way to do this. So if there are screws here that are present, just pull them out, and we'll just take the bezel off. And basically the bezel on this laptop comes off really easy. You just run a spudger or a pry tool up around all the edges and it kind of unsnaps. I will say that you might as well get another bezel for this laptop, because once you take this bezel off a couple of times, it starts to wear a bit where the clips are and doesn't go back on very well. Now, you need to take very close attention to these cable management here going up. This is actually the camera cable that goes up off camera here. This is to the webcam. It's real important that you pay attention to how those are routed, because it's a real pain to get the bezel back on without these wires properly routed again. But there are two screws up top that are holding the screen in place. We'll take those out. And there are two more screws down here at the bottom. And we'll take those out, and we'll be able to pretty much just kind of lay our screen down after we unplug our webcam here. Well, we're going to unplug that in a minute. We'll lay our screen down first. Then we'll unplug our webcam like so. Yep, from here we can gently remove the ribbon cable that's attached to the screen. We'll gently remove it, and now we can set our screen aside. Our next step is going to be to pull these wireless antenna wires out of their slots. Again, paying close attention to how they are routed. It is extremely important that these go back the same way. And up off camera here, there's just some adhesive and some tape holding the two wireless antennas in place. So we'll just pull all this off, and now we're pretty much ready to start to remove these screws that hold this thing in place. This is just such a bad job here, but we'll take these screws out, and that will allow us to remove the top lid and replace it with a brand new one, along with a new bezel. Provided that there's no damage done to the hinge, we should just have to replace the back lid and the bezel. And I do have some spare screws in the shop that will fit the new bezel just right and the new back lid just right. No problems. Here is our new top lid and bezel. Now what we're going to do here is just remove this bezel, of course, so we can put the top lid in place and get the screen on, but we're going to have to remove this video cable that came with it, and we're also going to be removing the existing antennas that came with it. These are still in place on our original laptop, so we won't be needing these. Again, these are just held on by some adhesive tape. We'll gently just pull those off, set them aside. Take care of the one on the other side here. And now we're ready to set our back lid in place. We'll just line it all up with the hinges there, and we have some screws that we can use to kind of secure everything down. There's a few screws here that just goes into place. And what we also do is we added a bit of adhesive glue, or any kind of glue you would want to use, to try to ensure that these screws don't back out. And I think that's the original problem, is that the original screws backed out over time. So we put a little bit of glue on those screws to keep them from hopefully backing out again. A little bit of preventative maintenance. Right here we're putting our antennas back into place, and we're carefully rerouting our wires how we had them. You'll see here how the left antenna wire is running along the bottom, and there's little clips that you kind of push this wire into. It'll hold it into place. Once we have our antenna wires good and secured and put back into place, we can now plug back in our video data cable. And once we get that kind of gently popped into place, we'll add a little bit of adhesive tape here to make sure that doesn't go anywhere. Now we can flip the lid up, and then we can go ahead and install the 4 screws that hold the screen into place, 2 at the bottom, and then there'll be 2 more at the top. And now our screen is secured in place. It is ready for the bezel. Now what you could do here for a little bit of added support is add some real thin 3M double-sided tape on the underside of this bezel to kind of ensure that it stays in place. I think the way ASUS designed this bezel placement is very poor, but that would be strictly your call. But you can see here now the hinges work well, the back cover works well, there's no screws and bolts showing through the back, and it's practically as good as new. Well, hey everyone, I hope this helps somebody. Thanks for watching my video. Please rate and subscribe to my feed. I would really appreciate that a lot. I do have more computer repair videos coming your way in the near future. Tim'sComputerFix.net is where you can find me. So until next time, everyone, see you soon.